what's causing the mute or what's causing it. So in case you notice it, let me know so I can start it again. All right. So monitoring, again, we want to know what's going on and what's the root cause. You hear things like, hey, we need to figure out what the root cause, do a root cause analysis. That's nothing but just saying we need to figure out why it happened, right? Why an event happened. Sometimes you might fix an issue, but you don't know why it happened. It's likely to repeat itself again. So we need to, it's not just about, oh, this happened. Like a lot of places, like most places I work, that's why this DBA work is not difficult sometimes. If you go into an already established environment, they already have processes, they already have things in place. So when issues occur, likely, in fact, some places are so detail oriented that when issues occur, they have what they know common issues and they have a fix for it, right? Like at my place of work now, I've not even really gotten access into all our systems. But once anything happens and they troubleshoot, what they do is they have a process of figuring out what caused it to run, and then they rerun the process. It's like a standard to anybody, that's what they do. Okay. So it's easy to start, but the important thing is now we've solved the problem. That's the immediate fix. The bigger deal now comes when the manager says, okay, so you looked into it. What was the problem? What's the root cause? What's the root cause of that issue? That's where you now need to show that you didn't just go. So it's easy to solve the problem by looking at the symptoms, but the real work is in figuring out the cause. So there's different aspects to monitoring, like I said, proactive or reactive. But also there's under the reactive monitoring, there's two places you can be looking, right? We have the system side of things. Where's my mouse? You can look at the system or the database. All right, the system is like the vehicle. The system is your vehicle. That's where your database lives on the server, your system or your server, let me call it server. So there's monitoring on the server side and then there's monitoring on the database side. All right, the database lives on the server. So if the server is unhealthy, the database will be unhealthy by default. You're right. If like I think I gave this illustration to last time. Even if you're Usain Bolt, if you're in a vehicle that has engine issues or whatever, you're going to go at the pace of that vehicle. You're going to go at the pace of the vehicle that you're in. It's the same thing. If no matter how tweaked and optimized and optimal a database is set to perform, if the server itself is having issues, right? Like what we just had now, okay, assuming maybe my server is having issues or like Kings was trying to yab me now, my computer is i3. No matter what I do is, no matter even if I'm paying the most expensive plan on Zoom, if server is slow, Zoom will be slow. Everything will be going on mute without warning. Same thing. So a lot of times I can be troubleshooting on Zoom to figure out why is Zoom acting up, when really the issue is with my laptop. Sometimes we can be troubleshooting on the database when the issue really is on the system on the server side. Now, with that being said, the server administrators are the ones who are meant to be proficient with everything server. They are people who they are the engineers for the server side. I'm not trying to get you to become a proficient server side or server administrator. I need you to have the fundamental knowledge, but I'm not trying to get you quote unquote proficient, right? That's a whole different career path. However, I need to be able to investigate and say, hey, this is a server issue. It's not a database problem, it's a server problem. You need to be able to look at 1, 2, 3 things to see what's the state of health of my server. Right? Hope everything is making sense so far. This is the mindset I kind of want you to have when you're troubleshooting anything is I don't want to go and start digging into the database when it's a server problem, but I don't want to waste time also investigating server issue. I should be able to just go and take a quick look at one ABC and say, okay, server is good. Let's look at the database. then I can start going into details. On the server side, what are we really looking at or looking for? We're trying to, when we investigate on the server side, we're looking at our system resources. That's what we're really looking for. That's what really impacts database performance, is the system resources. That's on the server side. And the system resources, by system resources, and I've given you this description here before, we have the processor. That's what we refer to as CPU, layman terms. Memory. I've said don't call it RAM again. It's memory. Storage, that's what we call hard drive in regular human being. And network, the only one that's consistent. Those are your system resources. If any of those things is having an issue, it will affect your database. If the network is slow, if the network is bad, our database is connecting over the network, it's going to affect how your results are delivered. Your backups will take longer because the network, the bandwidth is smaller or is slow. If you run out of space on storage, backups will fail, your database cannot grow, you will start getting errors. That's an issue. If memory is slow, performance is down drastically. Your server can't process things as fast, and so it's affecting performance directly. Same as your processor. All right, so we need to always be able to determine quickly what's the status of this system resources. And we have some inbuilt tools to quickly investigate these things. The first one is Task Manager. The next one is Perfmon. The next is your Windows logs. And we can see this from Event Viewer. These are three of the tools I want to show you to quickly do a quick, what's the status of my server, right? My system resources. These are the three tools I want you to be familiar with. Again, not for you to go there and become a server engineer, just to have a level of proficiency when it comes to issues with, going on the server side. So how do we investigate Task Manager? If you come down here to your taskbar, just down at the bottom of your screen, if you see where my mouse is, just right down there at the bottom of your screen. All of us have Task Manager. You can either do Control-Alt-Delete the old school way, or you just come right click on the taskbar and you see Task Manager right there. You open it up. The same Task Manager that we've been using forever. It's a very important tool.
Yes.
All right. So you see the Task Manager. We're all used to this tool. Everybody has used Task Manager to do one thing or another at some point. All right. See how little vague it is. If I click on more details, now you're getting a bigger, picture. There's more information here available to me. All right. Can you see the status of your system resources just from here? The resources that I mentioned, processor, CPU is right there. Memory is 27%. Disk utilization is 1, network 0. Nothing like, So just by looking at this Task Manager, I can already tell my system resource utilization is low. CPU utilization is at 28% out of 100. That's really insignificant, or that's significantly low. If it's over 50, 60, I can start worrying, okay, what's going on that is using up that much processor, that much CPU? Memory is at 27%. It's still under 30%. That's very below average. It's not up to 50%. So I'm not really worried about memory. I'm not worried about CPU. Disk utilization, there's nothing being written to the disk. That's why it's 0. It doesn't mean that there's nothing on the disk. It means I'm not reading anything from the disk or writing anything to the disk. I'm not adding any new information. That's why it's 1%. Probably the 1% is from all the things I'm typing that's been saved, to the hard drive somewhere. Network, 0 network. I'm not sending any packet over the network. I'm not sending anything across the network. I'm not receiving anything across the network. Again, that's why you see there's 0 activity on the network side. Does it make sense? All right, so just by looking at this, it helps me realize if somebody had called me now and said, hey, there's an issue, data SQL Server is performing really badly, it's really slow, and I come and check Task Manager on that server. Even without digging any further, I can tell just by looking at this numbers at the top here, that the server is not the problem. All right, let's assume this CPU was at 90%, for instance, 90-something percent, memory was at 87%. So they are both high utilization, right? I can now start looking at these applications. Can you see all the apps on the left side? And I'll look and say, okay, which one of these apps is biggest consumer? Zoom is using 16.3. That's my biggest problem. So guess what I can tell now? SQL Server is not the issue. It's not running. Database is not the problem. So I'll call the server guys and say, hey, Zoom is messing things up. Can you go take a look and see who's running Zoom, what's going on with Zoom? Yo, man, there needs to be online class etiquette.
So I like what we did.
Man, I was checking too. When I don't go Nigeria, that came out of nowhere too. Unbelievable, man. All right, so but you're following the gist, right? I can see from here the biggest user of resources is Zoom, not my database. So I'll say, hey, DBA or server guys, go fix Zoom. It's affecting database performance, and they go take a look at it. If you still want to drill a little deeper, if you go to the next tab, you see what have performance. If I click on that tab, you see a little bit more detail. You see the CPU, it's giving you in every 60 seconds. You're seeing it's at an average CPU activity is level. It's not going, there's no spike, there's nothing going up and down, it's level. And it's staying at that 30% area. Okay, you can still see it. If I click on memory, same thing. Now I can even tell exactly how much memory I'm using. I'm saying we're using, out of the 16 gig of memory that we have, we're using 4. Can you see that? So check your own and see what you're using. Right? You see, I'm using 4 gig of memory out of my 16. So I can tell, hey, memory, we have more than enough remaining. All right, then again, same thing can go for the rest. This activity, it shows, it doesn't give us any information that I want to delve into right now. These two are my biggest guys, CPU and memory. When you look at them and you don't see any of that, then you know that, okay, you're good. If not, you can start figuring out on the processes who is the biggest consumer, and then can start drilling down. All right, the next guy we want to quickly look at on the system side. Again, this is just peripheral knowledge that I need you to have here, is perfmon. So if you come to your list of programs, come right here, search for perfmon, P-E-R-F, you start searching, you see performance monitor right there. So that's perfmon for short, performance monitor. Again, these are all Windows tools. Open that up, you should get a window that looks like this. All right, this is performance monitor. So that when you're here, you should see that performance monitor right there. Hope we see it. I just go there, make sure you can see the same thing before I explain. I want everyone to just get conversant with how to get around all of these things. All right, so on the performance monitor, think of perfmon as a more advanced version of Task Manager that gives you some more control. So you can basically pick and choose what you capture, what you see, right? Using what we call counters. The keyword with perfmon is counters. Counters, like That's the keyword with perf counters. All right, so counters are basically the things that we're monitoring. If I want to monitor processor related information or CPU related information, I'll add a CPU counter. So right now, you see by default, the counter you see here is processor time. Can you see down here? Under here, showing all the counters. The first one we have here is processor time. That's what we're seeing on this screen in display. If we wanted to monitor other things around other system resources, we can add additional counters. If you come up here, you see where we have the plus sign. Click on that. This class on Saturday, it was the snow class. So all of us were at home. All right, so you see, these are all the resources that you can, and again, this is see all of the weird things. I don't know what type of these things are. All right, so again, I'm not trying to get you to be an expert. I just needed to have some familiarity with how this tool works, and then we need to be able to go and check what's related to me, what's affecting SQL Server. So if I want, the counters are listed in alphabetical order. So if I want something around memory, I can go and look for memory counters. I can scroll up to M. Now it's down. So on that memory, I can see different counters, memory related counters. Expand memory. If you want to capture like the available bytes, available kilobytes, you want to keep track of that as memory is being used. You can go through it on page faults per second, page reads per second, page writes per second. Those are all different counters. Let's look at the reads and writes. So I'll take the page reads per second. If I select that, you see down the bottom here, so I have add. I can click on add, page writes per second, and add. Let's monitor the available megabytes. Select this one and add. All right, so once you've added the counters, you can go ahead and hit OK down here. So now you see, can you see the bottom under here? So you can see all the counters we've added are showing. So now these are all the things I'm monitoring. But the cool part is you can see on the main dashboard, you start seeing, I see the green one. So page write per second is very tiny. It's literally on the floor there. You can see there's color scheme with each one. See the page reads per second. I think that's the one that's this purple weird one. All right, so the colors kind of guide you. See the other page reads per second. Which one is this one down here? Can you see it? So if I put my mouse over it, it tells you what count I'm looking at. And you see the details. 1.998, insignificant. The green one, let's put our mouse on the green one. Page writes per second. See the green, can you see that? It's 0. I'm not writing anything. The cool thing too is you can capture and then let's put the mouse over this one. So something happened at that point where the read spiked. 100% I must have been reading something at that point in time. Does that make sense? So that's how perfmon works. So with perfmon, you're just adding relevant counters to keep track, to check. Again, you're looking at system resources, system health, how's memory, how's CPU. With your perfmon, you just need to know what are some counters relevant to SQL Server. And that will be one of the things you investigate during the week. All right, the next one that we look at on the Windows side is the Windows logs. How do we check our Windows logs? Again, we use Event Viewer to look at the Windows logs. So if you come to your list of applications and just type Event Viewer, search for events, you can see Event Viewer right there. And again, these are all Windows applications. Every Windows computer has them. Open up Event Viewer. Looks like we've not been muted for a period. I think I'm just going to be restarting this computer before every class to avoid strange behaviors. All right, so right there, I see Windows logs. If I expand Windows logs, I can monitor, okay, am I looking at applications, security related, system related, whichever details you want to see. So let's look at applications. Again, the Windows logs are capturing everything. Remember transaction logs that we talked about? Everything that happens on the database is recorded in the log files. The Windows logs, imagine how much more is going on the server side. Can you see different activities? Something happened by 7:33. It happened, like as it happens, it's recorded. You can scroll from here to for Africa. You see me by minute by minute. The Windows logs are very, very extremely detailed. I don't care about everything. The only things I care about are things that are impacting performance of the server. So the errors I want to see, the warnings, the critical events, those are the things I want to see. So I can come and filter these logs. If you come to the right, you see we'll have filter current log. Select this, and I can choose what I want to capture: critical, warnings, and error. I don't want information or whatever the heck verbose is. All right, and you see it gives you the option of choosing what time range do I want to capture the information. So is it a certain custom range? You can specify when start and stop time. You can capture the last 12 hours, last 24 hours, last 7 days. It's up to you. Right? Depending, so somebody tells you we started observing this thing since 2 a.m. last night. I don't want to see everything the whole week. I can just go focus between 2 a.m. and now. Let's capture the things going on. So you can filter this down to capture a time range. You can show exactly what you want to capture, what events you want to see. If you don't want to see, if I put information, it show me everything. All right, so once you're done, you can even put users affected or exact server names. But anyway, all of this don't matter. We just want to see the warnings, the errors, the critical events. Let's go ahead and hit OK. All right, so now you're beginning to see what was going, the different errors that must have been affecting. So you might not have, your own server might behave differently from mine, right? So if you're not seeing any errors or any major issues with your own, that's fine. That doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It just means your server is behaving better than my own. All right, you see that if you click on each event, you'll see the details down here. And you can go to details to get even more intricate information. How do I expand this out? There we go. So let's see, it shows you even more. But again, half of this thing I don't understand what it's saying. Right? So mine is, hey, I'm seeing a lot of these issues, and I'll check the time between 7:36 and whatever time. If that coincides with when the issue on the database is happening, then I can safely predict that, okay, some of these issues are impacting my database performance. And I can reach out to the server guys and say, hey, I'm noticing a lot of these activities, all these failures. Can you take a look and see what's going on? Can you, look into this?
Now, sorry, can you go back one step?
One step.
How you got to these errors again?
You just filter the logs. So if you go to filter current log right there, I chose this particular events, critical warning and error. That's how I got all of this. All right, so I can look at this one that are SQL Server, see if there's anything. See, it's saying, can you see it's telling me SQL Server job failed, and it even gives you the reason why the job failed. Could not obtain information about this server. And if I look at this one, I already know why, because I renamed the server. So this is one of those errors from February 4th. Can you see when it happened? This error should not be happening again. Daily full backup failed because the owner doesn't have access. So you can see what's going on both on the database side, but mostly, again, the main reason why I'm bringing you here is, are there server errors that are affecting database performance? This is where we'll capture them, so that I don't go and spend time investigating the database and there's nothing wrong. It's not a database issue, it's a server issue, but then I waste all this time investigating an issue on the database when I should really be looking at the server to figure out. And again, on the server side, we're not doing any in-depth investigation. Now, on the database, when we get into database now, we'll start getting into more detailed steps, because that's our area. When we've identified that it's not a server issue, that means it's my problem. That means I'm the one that needs to go do the root cause analysis. I need to figure out what's going on, what caused it, and how we can fix it. All right, so assuming we've checked on the server side and it's still going on, then it's likely a database issue. What are the things we look for in the database? These are some of the areas, the monitoring events or monitoring areas we have in the database side. Can I connect? These are the things you're looking for. Connectivity. Can I connect to SSMS? That's Management Studio, SQL Server Management Studio. Next, SP2. And I'm going to explain all of this in a moment. Profiler. Maybe I'll add this one. This is SQL Server logs. I'll show you where to check that as well. Definitely need to redo my slides. All right. The reason why I'm dumping all of this thing on you at once, before I go into details, is one, at least I want you to kind of register in your subconscious somewhere that it's once you see it, some part of you believes that you know it. So I can also include database reports. All All right, so these are different areas that we can monitor on for our on a database. So somebody tells you, hey, if there's an issue where we're not getting a report on time, one thing is going on. What are the areas where you check on the database? Step one is, can I connect to Management Studio? Do I have connectivity? Right? So let's open up Management Studio. Let's start from there. All right, open up a Management Studio, connect to your default instance. Management Studio. All right, that's taking time. I got you're supposed to show register servers.
Yeah.
Nah, I just saw the one that we started with. So, all right, let me bring this to the side. All right, so I'm able to connect here just fine. But assuming you came in here and let me call this PC4 just like I have a mistake and I hit connect. All right, so you see how it's taking a minute? That's because I intentionally put the wrong server name. So it's going to fail. So that's one. If you can't connect Management Studio, one server name might be wrong. That's one indicator. Yeah, fail now. Just go ahead and fail. Like you're wasting my time. You're meant to fail as if you're going to find another server code. Excellent. So you see it's failed. You could not open up a connection, blah, blah, blah. All right. That's, when that happens, it tells you one or two things. You could have the wrong server name like I did, but that's not a performance issue. So let's get to the real issues. Server might not be running. Might be off. So powered off. Somebody turned it off. Maybe a disgruntled employee, maybe somebody was careless, maybe Mr. Steven was working night shift and he just removed the plug when he was going home because he was tired and sleep was catching him. Something could have happened. And then now you're trying to connect and it's off. All right. So if you're not able to connect, server might be off. How do I validate? Server could be off or your SQL Server service might not be running. All right, are we following all of this trend of conversations? We're starting from step one. First thing you'll do on a database is, can I connect to this server? If Management Studio, if you can't connect to the server to Management Studio, it's one of these two things. You have the correct server name. It's either the server is down or the SQL Server service might not be running. All right, it's one of these two issues most of the time. How do I make sure of that? You can check. You can try to do a remote. You can try to ping the server name. You can do a remote desktop. So I'm giving you the troubleshooting and I'm giving you the troubleshooting steps. So the first manual, that's the symptom and these are the steps. And we're going to go through this 1,001 times before this class is over. So you know how to go through these things in your head without any help. All right. So how do you ping? What we all do, we know what the ping is, right? Who knows what the ping is? Anybody ping?
Is it a remote numerical connection to your PC?
A remote numerical connection.
Yeah.
I think I understand what you're trying to say. I don't like how you said it though.
It's like, you know, you go to your command prompt, you type ping, and it's like you're calling the computer.
Okay, so what does that do when I do type the ping command, and
It will show you whether it's online.
it will show me whether the server is online or not. If I get a reply from the server name, that means my server is live. If I don't get the reply, then the server is likely offline. It's not on the network. Every server on the network has an IP address. Whether you assign one or not, it's like once you connect to the internet, an IP address automatically is assigned to your server. So every server that you're working with, every database server is likely, or is likely on the network, hence it has an IP address. So if I do a ping, just like Jesse said, ping, let's say this Nstar Tech PC3, right? So this is my server, Nstar Tech PC3. All right. If I ping the server, can you say I'm getting a reply? Okay, I'm getting a reply because my server is live. Already I'm on the server, so I know it's live. It doesn't, but this is, if I'm not getting a reply, then it shows something is off. Okay, you can ping things like, let's ping google.com. Say I'm getting a reply from Google, that means Google is, the Google server that's running Google is not down. Because Google is just a server. There's just a server somewhere that's servicing Google. It's not, it's probably a big major supercomputer, but it's a server. That's why I can ping it. You can ping Facebook. Now, I'm sure if Kingsley pings Facebook from his end, the IP address will be different because there'll probably be a different server servicing his region, while this is one service in that region. But I'm saying this is, I can validate that these servers are live because I'm getting a reply. Okay, if I don't get a reply, then server is not online. All right, could not find this host. That means it's not on the network. I just made up a name, PC4. It's not a real server. That's why I said, hey, I can't find this guy. So if you ping your server and you get something like this, or you get reply, but it's not sure, it's saying, not able to connect, you can see, but you can't connect to it, likely your server is powered down. It's not running. That's one way. So now let's assume I've pinged and I get a reply, but I can't connect to Management Studio. Then I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's likely the SQL Server service is not running. Okay, so I can remote desktop connect to another way of validating whether the server is up is try to do a remote desktop session. That means you're trying to use remote desktop to connect to the server wherever it is. If I go to my list of servers again, just type remote. You see this remote desktop connection. All right, again, every computer comes with this. So if I open up remote desktop, you get a screen like this. You can specify your server name here. If your server is live, and you have access to it, you can put the server name, hit connect, specify your username and password, and log into it. If you're able to get in, then that's another indicator that your server is on. If your server was not on, you won't be able to remote desktop into it. So now I can now go and check the service, the SQL Server service. How do I check my SQL Server service if it's running? Configuration Manager. So if you come to your server, type Configuration Manager. Once you start typing config, you see SQL Server 2014. It's likely what you see. Mine is 2017 because that's what I'm running. All right, so do you see your own SQL 2014 Configuration Manager? Do you see that? All right, so go ahead and click it. And yes, let it run. So you see all those services that we had during installation. that we created during installation. This is the SQL Server service. The status here is running. If this was not running, then that's a problem. So you see the things we've checked from just looking at step 1. Can I connect to Management Studio? So if this guy here is showing that it's not running, is red, I can right click on the service and see what will have start or restart, any one of it. Just you can bring it back online. All right, everybody see their own service. All right, so if it's not running, it's like the browser now is stopped. But remember, we talked about browser when we were doing installation and why it's disabled. Because of the listener abilities that it has, and it's going to open doors that it's not supposed to open and give people access that I should not give them. So that's why browser is disabled. If I want to bring my browser up, I can right click on it, go to properties, and then change the service from disabled, and I'll change it to automatic or manual, and then I can start it. All right, so the same way you have full control over what your services are doing. All right, so I've gone through step 1 of my troubleshooting. All right, once I validate that the services are running fine, then the next thing I want to do is my SP-HU2. SP-HU2 is a system stored procedure in the master database. What do we normally store in the master database? Remember we talked about it last week. Master database. What's inside the master database?
Configuration
information, like all of your configuration information, details, everything config related is stored in the master. So this stored procedure is pulling information from the master database about, all the transactions / events within your instance. I'm typing it out so you can hear me, but you can also see it. That's what SP-HU2 is. SP-HU2 is a system stored procedure that lives in the master database. When you run that, when you execute that stored procedure, it gives you information about all the transactions within your instance. It's one way to see what is running and how much resources it's using, and just some very vital information that is relevant to performance. So if we run SP-HU2, let's go to Management Studio, come to your Management Studio here, open a new query window. So you see we'll have new query. Open a new query window. All right, now type SP_HU2. It doesn't matter whether it's uppercase or lowercase. SP-HU2, and you see we'll have execute right there. Execute it just like a normal script. Can you see all of the information that is given you? This is every activity going on at this moment, and even some, old, previously recent events that gets captured. Now, the first thing you're looking for in your SP-HU2, did everybody run their own? Yeah, run SP-HU2 and just look at what you're seeing. It might not make sense now, but in a minute it will. The SPID column, this is just an identifier. It's like an ID, it's like your student ID, but it's the ID for all of your events. Every event on your instance will have an SPID. It's like a process identifier. So those numbers don't really mean anything, they are just identifiers. Now, SPID is 1 through 50. 1 through 50. are all system events. All right, you can see 47 is task manager. These are all task manager, break task, whatever that break task means, task manager, break task. 1 through 50 are all system events, so they are not database events. So whenever you're looking at SP2, you can ignore from 1 through 50. Does that make sense?
Mm.
The ones you really care about are from 51 and up. All right, so now I'm looking at from 51 through 56. The next column is the status. Can you see the status right there? It's showing you, is it running? Is it just running without this just run? It's probably, it feels things like this is still running, but because this is the SP2 command I run. All right, it shows you the status. These ones are sleeping, so they are not active right now. The login shows you who ran it. All right, so let's say Mr. Jesse came in and ran something on the server. If I do an SP2, if it's a recent event, it will show your name here that you ran something. So it's easy to catch somebody who did something. When somebody runs a delete command, it will show their name right here that they're the ones that ran it. So even if they pretend like they don't know what happened, except they use another person's login or logged in using a SQL, a generic account. But you can tell, like, admin is me. So that's the login. The host is showing you the server that you ran this thing from. So even if I was running from a remote computer, it will show me where I ran, where I connected from, and I ran. So you can't even say it wasn't you because your laptop name will show up here. All right, so the login shows who ran. This shows you the host where it ran from. Okay, so these are just quick things you can check from SP2. The next one that is very important is blocking. This is likely the first thing for me. If I was troubleshooting, this is the first column I'm looking at. Is the blocked by. All right, so when you say blocked by, that means we're checking for blocking. What is blocking? Think of blocking like one of the issues we experience in a high transaction environment, in databases that have a lot of high volume transactions. We experience contention issues. Think of Atlanta traffic. What causes Atlanta traffic for those who have lived in Atlanta, for my Atlanta current and former residents? Too many people, too many users, right? At the same time, there is not enough space for all the users, all the vehicles. And so all of us have to go slow. That's contention. Okay? SQL Server has think about this, right? Have you ever gone on Amazon? We've all shopped online, or any online shopping website or platform, and two people mistakenly purchase the same thing at the same time from different locations. Imagine the chaos that would be caused, because I just saw that there's only one remaining and I just hit buy. And at the same time, you also hit buy at the same time. Who gets the product, right? But that never happens. Database has a way of maintaining, or SQL Server has a system put in place to maintain what we call data integrity. Data integrity just means the data that I'm accessing is accurate at every point in time. It's the most accurate as it can be. That, SQL Server tries to maintain database integrity using what we call blocking. So what happens is, if assuming a transaction is happening against a table, let's say ADAP is querying he's running a select statement, or ADAP is trying to update the student table. He's trying to change the last name of a new student, for instance. What SQL Server would do at that point is it will say, well, since ADAP is making the change, Let's go on mute if you're online, if you're not talking. All right, so if I was using an example where a gap is trying to run an update or a delete or something on the student table, SQL Server knows, okay, a gap is changing this table so that nobody else goes and gets incorrect information while a gap is making a change. SQL Server will place a lock on that table. That lock means nobody else can do anything until a gap is done. Does that make sense? Until a gap is done, everybody else trying to access anything on that table will have to wait. So those people are now blocked. That's what really happens when you see blocking. Blocking just means another process is using this resource, and so nobody else can access it, so everybody has to wait. It's like you're sharing resources in an apartment. Maybe you have a roommate, you live in a 3-bedroom apartment, but all of you share the same toilet and bathroom, or the same bathroom, and one person is in there in the morning. The rest have to wait, even if you're in a hurry, and you hope that the person doesn't have any stomach upset or something, because they're going to be there for a long time. Right? So that's, in that case, you are being blocked. Why? Because somebody is using the resource that you're trying to access. The same thing. When I see blocking, I'll come, maybe let's say we're on 52. And I'm saying 52 is being blocked by 51. That means 51 is doing something and 52 is trying to run a script or something, but 51 is blocking 52. That's something that could cause blocking. So maybe people are seeing performance issues outside, but actually it's not really because something is wrong. It's just that there's blocking going on. And that's SQL Server's way of maintaining data integrity. All right, so there's different things we can do when we have a blocking.
Now, it's 1 minute, please. On mine, I can see my numbering is just 37. Why would that be?
Because your own is running a different set of your server is different from mine. This is my system. Our processes that are running are different. So all of us will have different things. Again, like I said, all I care about is from 51, SPID 51 and up. Anything 1 to lower than 50, we don't worry about it. The 1 to 50 are system processes, so we don't really SPID 1 to 50 we don't worry about. All right, so when you have a blocking, there are a few things you can do to handle this. You can kill the blocking SPID. All right, so I can do that. I can kill that. If you kill a blocking SPID, it disappears. So if I want to kill, say, let's say 52 was blocking 51, hypothetically. So I come here and do kill 52, just like that. If I execute kill 52, it says it's run successfully. If I run SPO2 again, I see there's no more 52. I just killed 52. 52 has gone. So if somebody is causing blocking, you can kill the blocking SPID. Now, I don't recommend you do this first. You see how I can figure out who is running the query here, right? I can see your name. I can see the server. Like here, it's agent. I know this is a job because the SQL Server agent is the one running this. Let's assume I come here and I see Nstar Steven. Instead of killing your process that you are running, I can send you a message and say, hey, what are you running? It's causing blocking. It's blocking SQL. You see what I'm saying? Don't just go and kill it because maybe our boss told you to go and run a query or something or get a report, and that's why you're running this process. And even though it's abrupt, that's why it's causing blocking. You can say, hey, Namdi, relax. I'll be done in a minute, because we don't know what it is. So don't just kill. But I can reach out to you and say, hey, this is causing blocking. Say, oh, okay, go ahead. You can kill it. You see what I'm saying? So don't just go and kill. Make sure you validate that it's a lower priority transaction before you kill it. Don't be in a hurry to kill things. You can do other things like reschedule if it's maybe 2 jobs that are running at the same time trying to access the same resource. We can change the job schedules. That's another thing we can do. Another thing we can do is we can use the no lock hint. That's another thing we can do. Maybe I'll make you guys research that. You can change isolation levels. These are a few things you can. I'm going to still talk about this more again. I won't get into this today. These two, they are similar. But I recommend just look into what this no lock and isolation levels. This will be in the assignment for the week, actually. This isolation levels. We can look into it and then we can even discuss on Thursday. All right, so that's if you have a blocking, okay? Because from the external side, the people that are trying to connect to your database will scream, oh, we can't, we're not seeing our results, it's running slow. To them, it's a performance issue, but you come in here because you have more inside access. You can say, hey, there's a blocking going on, that's what's happening. So now if I send, if you get a notification that things are slow, everything is going wrong, you can respond to the email and say, hey guys, relax, it's a blocking. I saw a blocking, I've resolved it, or we're working on it. Does that make sense? That's kind of how we do our DBA work. And the next thing is the database name. This is the database that's affected, that this process is running against. This command, there's a way you can identify the exact script, right? You see, it doesn't give you the full script that's running. It doesn't give you the full script. It just gives you a high level generic command thingy. There's a way we can extract the exact command that is running. Again, we're going to learn how to do all of those today. It's just high level review of SQL2. Also, you can start seeing CPU. Who is the biggest user? Again, just looking at this, you see the 63. This is nothing. But let's assume this command had like 100,000 on that CPU time. Now I'm paying attention. This IO, that means you're doing a lot of reads and writes. It's like this one is the largest one, and that's still nothing. So this is for disk utilization. This is your processor. Scrolling forward, this is last batch. That means when was this process kicked off? You can see this is 1718. That's 1918 is 7 p.m., 7:18 p.m. Whatever measurement of time this is. And the program, it shows you this agent means this was a job that ran at that time, and it goes back to SPID and all that. So these are all informational. Now I'm just messing with my columns. All right. So again, these are the most important columns I needed to focus on in SPHU2. SPID from 51. Who is running the query in case you need to harass them. And then this is their server name. Blocking, very important. This is the first thing I'm checking. Is there a blocking going on? If I don't see blocking, then that means, okay, there's no contention issues. Now you're checking what database is affected. Imagine this is like a 20 databases on this instance. And somebody says, hey, I'm trying to run a query against student database. It's really slow. And I come in and I'm seeing something running on employee. I'm seeing something on my first database and my second database. I don't care about all of those ones. The complaint is student database is slow. So I can come and look for only students and focus on that. So you might want to pay attention to this. This command is important as well. It's like what exact query is running that's causing the problem. So once I identify that this is student database, and I see what is running on student database. Then the C program, who is running it, where is it running from? And I can start looking at the CPU time and the disk IO and all of that jazz. All right, so that's SP2 in a very quick nutshell. Again, we are going to really take a very deep dive into performance tuning. This is just step one. Before we, part of it, every interview you do, I'll tell you right now, every interview you do, there is a 75% chance. Don't ask me how I got that number. That's just a number that happened in my head. There's a 75.77 chance that you're going to get a performance tuning question. It can be about blocking. It can be about the whole performance tuning process. It can be about monitoring, but there's going to be something related to performance tuning in every interview you do. I can almost guarantee that. All right. So all of this thing, this thing I'm discussing right now is the DBA work. You see that backup and recovery that we did before? This performance things we're talking about, and then the next set of things you're going to go into from Thursday, you must understand it. Must. It's mandatory. All right, let's keep moving. So we have looked at SP2. The next tool is also like SP2. You guys are getting more information at the weekend class. Is Activity Monitor. I have to beg them to watch this video. Why are you smiling? Your job was to be reminding me what. She wasn't even around on Saturday. All right, come to your instance. If you come to your manual, you come to your instance right there. Right, click on this thing. This class is. I'm not saying. I'm showing you very practical things. Make sure you're following me. You should have Activity Monitor. Can you see the screen? You see, Activity Monitor is the GUI edition of SP2. It's the same thing SP2 shows you that Activity Monitor will show you. You can see different recent queries, blah blah blah. But that's not even what I want to show. Is processes, expand processes. Can you see exactly the same thing? SPID 51. Activity Monitor does not bother with all those 1 to 50. It starts from 51. I like the way he looks back. Like, he doesn't even need to say anything. Just right click on the instance and then Activity Monitor is right there. Hope everybody online is doing the same thing. Make sure you're checking this out, please. If you don't see it, it will not make sense. All right, so you see the SPIDs 51 to it doesn't touch 50. Just like that's what I saw, exactly what I was saying. Again, the same information almost the same information that SP2 will give you. But Activity Monitor is a more GUI friendly, so it shows databases, the command, the status, and then the command. And another cool thing with Activity Monitor is you can filter it. You can see those drop down. So you can filter based on select, whatever, what have you. Let's go to database. I can say I want to see only master database. And it will give me only master database transactions. I go as TempDB to show you only TempDB. So there's more, you have, Activity Monitor gives you ability to just be a little more flexible. You can filter the views. It's more GUI, user friendly than SP2. But SP2, you can tell, is a little more detailed. It's up to you to figure out which one you like. All right, so I've gone through Activity Monitor. The next most important, not most important, but next really important person. Is everybody still online? Are you still following me online people?
We are.
All right.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Please don't put me on mute and go and solve other problems. Come on, man. Close this out. All right, Profiler is a very important tool within your database. The keyword in Profiler, see, like in Perfmon, I mentioned traces. The keyword in Profiler is, that's it, traces. With Perfmon, I said it's counters you need to capture. In Profiler, you need to capture traces. A trace is also like an event. Basically, you're tracking an event. So when you run a trace, you're tracking an event to get all the statistics around that event. So to figure out how it's impacting performance and everything. Profiler is a very important, very critical, but very intense tool. All right, it's very heavy on your system resources. When you run Profiler, think of all those times you run all those useless antivirus software on your computer to delete viruses, right? The antivirus will fix the virus issues, so it will kick out the viruses, but then it will slow down your computer again. So it's like the antivirus is another virus. That's kind of how Profiler is if you don't do it properly. So the recommendation is when you run Profiler, don't run it directly on the server you're troubleshooting. Instead, run it from a remote location. So if I wanted to troubleshoot, say, Nstar Tech PC, I won't connect to it directly. I will connect from my laptop, my management studio, my laptop, and I'll connect to Nstar Tech PC and I'll do Profiler from there. So that the impact will be on my laptop, not on the server that I'm troubleshooting. Does that make sense? All right, so assuming I had a server called Nstar 001. I won't go and remote desktop into Nstar 001. I will come to my management studio from my personal laptop and I'll connect to Nstar 001. Again, not a real server, so I can't connect to it. So I'll come in and I'll connect to Nstar 001. And when it's done, when I'm in, I will now do my Profiler from here instead of directly against Nstar 001. The reason being, Profiler is very heavy. It's very greedy with resources. It's going to eat up as much CPU, as much memory as it can. All right, so that's a very important point to note when you talk about Profiler. How do we access Profiler on your management studio? If you go to tools, you see the first option on that tools is SQL Server Profiler. Should bring you a window that looks like this. You should see something like this, where it's asking you to authenticate, do a new authentication. So you can specify the server that you want to run your trace against. Go ahead and hit connect like you would a normal instance. And then it gives you this trace properties window. This is where I specify the details of exactly what event I want to run a trace against. I want to track, I want to performance tune in quotes. We can name this trace, let's call this test trace, just for lack of good ideas. Your provider is your server, your instance where the trace is running. And this is the version of SQL Server. Yours might be like 12.0 instead of 14, right? And that's because, again, mine is 2017, yours is 2014. Templates are just showing you, they are just doing the configuration for you, so you don't have to choose any options. These are if you're trying to troubleshoot a long running process, you can do T-SQL duration, T-SQL commands, blah, blah, blah. But let's leave it as standard so that we can manipulate everything that we're doing ourselves. Again, we're looking at Profiler, another tool to monitor database performance. And then different ways you can save your results. A lot of times, this is probably what you do a lot. So I've had cases, not issues. I've had cases or scenarios at work where like the developers want to test out a query. They write a script, they want to see how it will impact performance in development. So because they don't know how, they don't have access or they don't know what exactly they're looking for, they can say, hey, Nambi, can you help us, see the impact of our process? right? When we run it, they want to test it before we go live in production. So we go to like a lower environment. What they'll do is they'll tell me, okay, we're going to run it and then you can check. So what I'll do is I'll kick off a trace to start running, and then I'll tell them to run their thing. When they run it, I can now capture the statistics of their query, and I'll see the impact. You know, that's kind of one thing. So I need to be able to send them the results. So I can save the results to a file like this. If you specify save, it will ask you where you want to save the test trace. That's one way you can do it. You can save to a table. So now I have to specify a database and a table within my instance. All right, so it's asking me to choose where I want to save the. So let's do save to table. I just like doing save to table. It's always cooler because it's part of a database. So if I do save to table, I'll connect to my instance. Why are you laughing like that? I was looking for it. I was legit looking for it. All right, so I'll choose what database I want to put the trace results. So let's throw this on my first. Let's put this on my fifth database or my any database. Let's do my second. Everybody has my second. I remember Kingsley ran out of data. He deleted this my first database. I don't think he has brought it back since then. So we'll do my second database. So it's going to create a table called test trace in my second database. And then I'll hit OK. You have the option of setting, enabling what time period you want this trace to run. Run between a certain time, you know, start time, end time. You can do duration in minutes, run for 60 minutes, whatever. But there's no need for this. We're going to kill it by ourselves. So now that we've set this trace up, let's go and now specify what we want to capture. What events are we even tracing, right? What am I capturing? So go to event selection. These are the default ones under the standard template that we selected. So it's going to capture the text data is your T-SQL command. Application is who is running the process, the username, the login, CPU read, write, duration, blah, blah, blah. How long the query ran, client process. So it's pretty much like you're doing SP too, but now you're capturing more in more details, right? So if I wanted to add a new additional columns to this, I can do show all events or show all columns. You see add force, I can scroll to the right and I choose which one. Like I want to add database name. I want to see the database name just for more details. I just select all them buttons. I don't want to see host name. That's SP2 will show me that. Domain name, I don't need all of that. But you see, you can add additional information you want to capture. And then if I don't want things like applicate NT username, login name is fine. Let me remove this guy. Again, I'm just messing around with this stuff. The important thing is I can see the text data. This is the command that will run that ran. This is who ran it, from where it is running from, who ran it, how much CPU is it using, how much reads is it using, how much writes, how long was it, did it take. I don't need the ID, SPID is fine. I can take all of this out. Again, just me playing around again. SPID start time, when did it start running, when did it end? And all right, so I'm good with this. Okay, let's do some more tweaking. Go to column filters. If you go to column filters, I think you have something to do with all of this as I'm going through today. All right, go to database name. Let's assume we want to run this against only my student database or something like that, or my first database. Let's use my first database. So I'll do like my first database. So I'm saying don't even check any other one, just my first database. Right, let me make sure that that's what I have. Yep, my first database. All right, so I'll go ahead and click OK. All right, if you want to play around more, you can do things like organize columns. If you do organize columns, that will show you the order in which you want the column. If I want my application name to show up first, I can move it up. Again, this is useless. This is just to show you for showing sake. Event class, I can move this all the way down. I don't care about the class of events. I can move database name up. All right, I want to know the command. I move this one. I want to see the command. I want to know the application. I want to know the database. I want the login. All right. Okay, I like everything the way it is. I hit OK. If you feel good about this, just go ahead and hit run. And so now it will kick off the trace. But what's happening? Nothing. Why is nothing happening? There's nothing on our screen. What does that mean?
It hasn't finished running.
No, it's going to keep running until we tell it to stop. But it's not capturing anything.
Oh, okay. We don't have activities for it to capture.
There's nothing happening on my first database. That's why there's nothing. You're correct.
Yeah.
There's nothing. So the trace is say I just set all these parameters for it to capture. If anybody runs anything, it will capture it. But right now, there's nothing going on my first database. That's why you see zero activity here, zilch. Now let's go to my first database and run something. Just let's see what tables do we have here. All right, we have this DBO cars. Let me do a new query here. Right, click on my first database. New query. So let's just select star from employee and execute. I'm just going to run random things. Select. I'm just going to run random. Yeah, you don't have to get all the queries I'm running, just run a few. Select first name. Well, last name, like, let's see if we have anybody called Kingsley in this class. Yeah, somebody's last name is King, but let's see first name. Let's see. Only one person with the name King. How about first name? Now I'm just doing rubbish. I'm just satisfying my curiosity. Oh, Kingston, but we don't have Kingsley. Sorry, bro. You're not a real student in this employment in this organization. All right, so I've run a bunch of queries. Now let me go back to Profiler. Now you see there's activity. Now you see there's activity. So you see that if I click on each one, select top one, can you see that select top one from employee I ran? Showing you all like different things that just happened right now. All right, so now I can go to each event and start looking at who ran them. It ran from Management Studio. You can see, right? And it's a query. So that's showing me what's running or what application source. What database is really running against my first database. Remember, that's where we said run. We only want to see my first database. So that's what gets captured. Who ran it? Admin, that's me. Then I can start looking for the resources that utilization. CPU utilization, this one is insignificant. Can you see all the random robberies that happen under the hood? So we're doing a lot of reads, 0 writes. We didn't do any insert or update or anything like that. So writes 0. Did anybody run any queries? Did you see anything? What's yours looking like? Anybody looking at their own? Please check, run, pick one of these queries and execute. Just highlight one and execute it. So I can see and then look at the results. You need to see it to believe it. You need to do it yourself. Just do the most basic, just do select staff from employee, even if that's the only one you do, and execute. Just pick a simple query, execute it, and then make sure you see something here. You can see things like the start time, the end time, all that jazz.
Kizzy was asking if you can get last week's assignment and take it. Everything is on Slack, right?
Mm-hmm. All right, so that's pretty much Profiler. Pretty much that's the whole gist with Profiler. It's running this. It's what you run, you see. So this is how I can capture. So now if those developers run something, I can go and tell them, well, your query is doing a lot of reads, it's doing a lot of writes. Can you change this? Can you change that? It's using up, its CPU utilization is really high. I can give them these basic statistics. And the cool thing is, all of these same results that we're seeing here is being written to that table. The test trees table, let's minimize this. Remember we said everything should go to my second database, the results. My second database, you see these tables. Can you see the test trees table? Everything is in here. Everything we're seeing on Profiler is all in here because that's what we chose. You see the same columns, everything. So let's do I can do a new query. I can do select staff from test trees and execute. So everything, the results are in there. Maybe not as fancy as it is in Profiler, but it's all in here. So I can capture this. I can just save this result and send it to anybody that wants it. All right, so that's really Profiler. So if you, the moment you're tired, you can come here, make sure to stop your trace because it's drinking resources. Like, let me check Task Manager and see how it's doing. Can I see my, well, it's not that bad. It didn't really see Profiler is on its own there. Utilizations, and again, that's because we have very minimal activity. All right, so let's close this out. All right, so I can go ahead and stop the trace. It's that red stop button right there. Stop the trace, and then you can X out of here. X, and that's Profiler. All right, next thing we'll look at is SQL Server logs. All right, this one is not on my curriculum. I don't really teach that, but again, because I like the weekday students, it's bonus information. So how do, again, your logs, basically, I remember we said SQL Server is capturing every transaction is saved in a log file, right? We said at the beginning, when we said there's data files and log files, all the activities are stored in the logs. You know, the data is stored in data files. How do we view the logs to know what's happening? There are a couple of ways we can see our SQL Server logs to capture events. First way is if you go to your agent in your management studio. Go to agent, everybody go to agents, go to agent. Call your agent. So expand agent. You see error logs. If you expand error log, you see the logs by day. All right, so if you want to view any particular logs, you can just go to the current one or any particular day you want to look at. And just double click on it and it will open up the logs. It's again, this is just the error, this is the error log. It's not the complete log, it's an error log. So it's giving you basic errors that occurred. All right, so you can X out of here. Again, this is not the main, this is one way of looking at viewing the log, but this is the main log view that you want. Close, not for the help. If you go to management, come to management. Under management, do you see SQL Server logs? SQL Server logs, do we see it?
Yes.
All right, expand SQL Server logs, you see again, similar to what we just saw. Let's open up the current one, just double click on the current one. Now you see this is a lot more detailed. Now you can see, can you see what is this thing? Trace stopped. Remember, we just finished running trace right now. It's already recorded, the log has already caught it. So everything that we're doing, see when I showed you that kill SPID, can you see the way it caught it here? Process SPID 52 was killed by this person. So you see, no matter what anybody does, you can catch who did it. Right? I can go through step, I can go through again, everything happening on my instance. I can keep, it's showing me, it's capturing every detail, every single detail. Remember, that's what transaction log is. This is PowerShell that I was playing with the other day. It's still here in the logs from. All right, so the log is capturing as things happen, they are being written, it's showing the SPID, it's showing you blah, blah, everything is captured. All right, and if you want to maybe further filter it down, you can go to filter. And you can filter by start date, end date. You can, if there's something, maybe let's say I want to capture, I want to see how my backup ran, I can just type on that command and put backup and apply filter. I want to see the backup events and I'll hit OK. All right, so there's nothing in my recent backups about, sorry, my recent events about backups. Let me change that to something more. Let me see, message contains select. All right, come on. All right, so you see the ones that log in, message contains login. All right, so this is basically your SQL Server logs. You can play around with this as you please. Clear the filters, see everything. Again, remember what we're learning today is monitoring. We're looking at different ways you can capture what's happening in SQL Server. How can I capture it? How can I, know where things are? So now we have different ways of checking what happened, why did it happen, who ran it, who did it, what server did do it from, what servers affected. We've seen a few ways now that we can investigate these things already. This is your job. This is the SQL Server DBA that we're talking about. This is our work here. This monitoring, checking, investigating, this is it. All right, so we've looked at traces. Quickly check something. Records. Okay, cool. All right, let's assume we had your developers are writing a script for a process that they're supposed to deploy in production at some point, and they say, "Hey, DBA, can you help us figure out if we need any indexes? How do we determine what index to get? Remember, what's an index again? Let's go back, quick review. What is an index? We've learned index part of our earlier classes. Who remembers what an index is? What's an index? What's the gist about indexes? Rapid fire questions. Index, somebody help me. Index.
Now the index is something in the table that helps you find stuff faster.
Yep, it's an object within your table that helps you find stuff faster. That's a good opportunity. Helps your search results you basically return your search results faster. Your indexes only help your select statements. So only when you're searching. What are the index types? We have clustered index, non-clustered index. and we talk about fragmentation and all the gist around it. Again, index kind of ties into performance. So again, it's one of the most known things that we cover. Please make sure you go back to those notes and those recordings and get familiar with those indexes are key. Now let's again, how do we know what indexes to create? Which ones will help our performance? Which ones won't? We can't just throw an index at every column, right? So you get a process that's coming through and they say, hey, DBA, can you look at this script? Can you tell us what index we need to create that will improve performance? SQL Server has a tool that will help you do that investigation called the Database Engine Tuning Advisor, DETA. Your Database Engine Tuning Advisor is there to help you make recommendations for your index. So let's say, for example, a command like this one, this script right here. Let's say they sent us and say, hey, can you help us investigate this script and see it's taking long? How can we optimize the performance? How can we get better performance out of this table? All right, so out of this select statement. Remember, your indexes are there to help you return your select results faster. There are different ways you can open up your database engine advisor, but this is my preferred way. Once you get the script, just highlight it, right click on it, and you see what it says, analyze query in database engine tuning advisor. Right, select that, and this should open up this DETA window. It gives you a window like this. All right, so again, the reason why I prefer doing this is it's already selecting the workload. So you're showing it's a query, it's selecting the database already. I don't need to do this myself. If I was going manually, I'll have to select the database, select the scripts, all of that. But this way is a shortcut. All right, if I go to tuning options, I can give more details about what I want my analysis results to be. I just want indexes. If you want to focus on non-clustered indexes, that's fine. If you want to include, but anyway, don't care about all of this for now. I'm keeping it very simple. Go to advanced options, specify how much space you want your recommendations to take. Let's give this, I just have 2 gig of space, 2048. And the reason why I do offline recommendations is so that we can still analyze the indexes before we create them. All right, we want to just give us offline recommendations. That's why we leave that first option. Go ahead and click OK. And start analysis right there. So I have start analysis at the top. Click on that, start analysis. All right, now if you go online, there are people that have written like scripts or queries that you can run against the database and it will recommend indexes based on transactions going on. So this is not the only way to identify what index needs to be created in the data, but this is an easy way. This is the fastest way to go about it. There are more complicated approaches, but that's again, as you advance in your career, you start learning additional tricks and things to the game. But right now, we're keeping it simple. So you can see it gives me a recommendation. It shows you the database, the table is recommending to create an index, and this is the target on that employee index. But this is the cool part. This is the command for the index to be created. Where it says definition, move to the right a little bit. Here we go. If you right click on this definition here, all right, just click on this. So right here, do you see the script to create the index? So it actually literally generates the script to create the index. All I need to do is copy it. Let's copy, close this out. And I can come to my database and paste. All right, so a few things I will, that I think you should keep in mind when you get a recommendation like this. Don't just go and run it. One, you see the way the name of the index is. What's the issue? Check the space under advanced options.
Oh, yeah, the queries only brought out one column, so I'm like saying there might not be
A recommendation. Yeah, that's fine. If there's no recommendation, that means there's no index that can improve. So it's not mandatory that I must. The reason why I use that query is because I made it. I kind of play a trick on the system to generate an index for me because of those wildcard commands. All right, so one, you want to change the index name to conform with your standard, your naming convention standard you have within your organization. So like, remember I showed you IDX, and then I can call this IDX name. So I know it's for names only. Another thing too is you want to verify this recommendation and see if there might be other indexes that are already similar. That means you might not need to create this index. There might be index, you might just need to include the column in an existing index, and this is covered. So it's just a little bit of analysis before you just go and run the command. Once you feel good about it, you can come here and hit execute, and it will create the index for you. So now if I go to employee table, and right there. All right, so you see that I already have an index called name email here. Maybe I didn't need to create this index. But again, that's the way your approach you should take. All right, are we still following?
Yes.
All right, so I can go ahead and if you're done with this, you can always like let me exit. So exit, and that guy is out of there. All right, the next one I'll look at this DMVs last. Let me show you the database reports. It's pretty straightforward. Again, they're just standard reports that your database will give you about. Again, this is we're still doing monitoring. So your database reports are just standard reports that your database will give you about certain things that might be useful. So, or your instance. If I go to my instance and right click on your instance name, come down, you see where I have reports. And I go to standard reports. Can you see a bunch of different things you can monitor? I was showing this to my new colleague, and he was like, "Wow, Namdi, you can do this?" I'm like, "Where's that gap? Come on, come on, walk in. Come on, replace this guy. This guy doesn't know what he's doing." All right, so this will show you different. So depending on what you want to performance does or just general performance, there's different things you want to look at. Performance top queries. See all the different performance related reports. Blocking, if there's any. Let's look at performance dashboard. Let's see what it shows us. So these are just generic reports that will give you, again, things going on within the database. Remember when we started doing, when we finished installing SQL Server, Management Studio looked like nothing was happening. Are you seeing all the things we can do on Management Studio now? So you can see, can you see again, CPU utilization is under 40%. It gives you SQL Server is using, this is what SQL Server is using. Nobody else is doing anything here actually. So this is just what your performance dashboard is showing you. Nothing going on, nothing crazy. If you saw this number that was around here, then we'll start worrying. Let's look for another report. Reports. Let's see. Top connections. So you can see the top 10 connections by reads, by writes. So who is what activities are doing writes, reads? Let's expand this one. Let's see if it gives us the detail. If you expand that, can you see showing you where the run? These are things you can see from SQL too. But again, just showing you different ways you can capture information of what's happening. And again, there's a way I can identify using this SPID. I can identify the command, and I'll show you that in a different day. Let's see if there's another report that shows us something interesting. Close this one out. Again, these are SQL Server is already doing its own monitoring for you. Block transactions. Let's see if there's any blockades going on. Nothing. No, so no blockades. But again, this is a very inactive. But again, you can see how we're using just standard reports to look at different things. And you see, the cool thing is anything you're checking is appearing here for you, so you can avoid one step. Memory consumption. Let's see this one. Shenanigans. Page life expectancy, SQL store engine, amount of memory we're using. What's this? So you see the explains each block what they're doing. All right, so again, just showing you the standard reports, how you can use them to monitor the health of your instance and your database. All right, the last thing is the DMVs, dynamic management views. What's a view? When somebody tells you this is a nice view, what does that mean? View. What's a view? View. Just general, I don't want to go about real life, normal English definition. I say, hey, this is a very nice, this is a nice view of the city. What do they mean by that? Sighting from afar. Okay.
So the city look good from this angle.
From this angle, so you're looking at the city. It's still the same city, right? But from this place you're standing, you're seeing it a certain way, right? It's a perspective.
Yes.
So it might not be the actual. It might not give the full picture.
Yeah.
But it gives you a particular perspective. Some people take picture, and from one side, the selfie is nice. From another angle, it's their choppy, so they don't like that view. They change the view, right? So it's different view, showing different things, but the same person. So I'm looking at my face like this. Okay, this is a fine view, so I take it like this. If I don't go far like this, I see my extra chin. I don't like this view. Yes, so it's about perspective, but the same person. It's about the angle where you're seeing it from. All right. So the person seeing me from a particular view might think, oh wow, this person looks like something else. And that person seeing my picture from a different angle, like, who's this fat guy? Right. So it's different perspectives for before the different angles I kind of use to take the picture. The same thing, but none of them is the actual individual. The real person is me now. As you see me face to face, I see me all the angles, right? You're here in class physically, you're looking, you can walk around, you're seeing the full ramifications of me. But the picture is a limited view. So in SQL Server, we have what we call views. Views are like just the same thing. They give you a perspective of a table. They look like the table. They actually act and behave like a table, but they are showing you a restricted edition of the table. Basically, I might want you to show, you want to see certain, I want to show you just certain columns. Maybe you want to look at reports. You're a developer, and I don't want to see the whole data in the table. Your report, you only need the first name and last name and email. I can create a view for you within, let me show you how you can create a view. Normally, if you go through the slides of a TCQ class, you actually see, I actually explain views, and if you watch those videos too, you understand what a view is. But let's do views generally now. Change my first database. So we have this select first. From employee. All right, so these are the only things you need to see. The only business, I don't want you to see email, gender, whatever. I just need my developer or my reports guy to see only first name and last name. This. Right, this is all I want you to see. I can create a view that will limit you to only these details. I'll do create view as employee name. Sorry, create view employee name as. All right, so now if I run this, so I'm saying create a view employee name with this select statement. Now, if I go under views, under this database, I have a view called employee name. All right, so if I did select star from EMP name, you see the way the employee name view now looks like a table. I can query like a table. It's exactly behaving like a table. So the report guy is running a script against this employee name, thinking they are querying a table. However, I'm not even, they don't have access to the whole table. I'm giving them a perspective. They are seeing only name. Does that make sense now? Yes, no, somehow?
Yes.
All right, so that's a view, right? So I'm showing this what it means to have, what a view means. Now, DMVs, that's what we really want to get to. Dynamic management views are already system predefined views. It's not like this one I just created. These ones have been created by SQL Server, and they are pulling data. They are showing me different angles from the master database about the status of my system. They show you different information about different things going on within your system, within your database, within your instance. All right. And the way to identify a DMV in the master database, they always start with a prefix of DM underscore whatever, whatever, whatever. But when you see DM underscore something, 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 that's a DMV. All right. So let's go to the master database. Let me show you these DMVs, where they are. If you go to system databases, go to master. Now, if you go to tables, Nothing, no tables in the master table. Let's go to system tables. This whole master database that we're saying is very important that holds all this critical data. There's only 4 tables. But again, because these are critical tables, SQL Server does not give us access to it. See, if I try to expand this, you can expand, you're seeing what do these things mean. You don't know what this means. Very limited information about all of these tables. You see the way they are named. Can you see the way they are named weirdly? So they don't give you anything. Because SQL Server doesn't want you querying these tables directly. But now if you go under views, can you see views on the master database? Go under views, go to system views. Now you're seeing 1 million things. So all of these views are pulling from those 4 tables. Let's keep scrolling down. Since can you see where your DM views begin? DM underscore, DM underscore, DM underscore, DM. CDC errors. Database encryption keys, column store, whatever. Index file space usage. Can you see an important DMV there? You can look and see the columns that it has access to. Column space, you see other DMVs that show you index physical statistics, index usage statistics, index space usage. See different things about index. This we're going to learn mirroring next week. I want to learn about mirroring and log shipping, all of those things next week. Space usage. Different tuning recommendations. Can you see all of those? These are all different things that could give us important. So all I need to do is query the correct columns. All right, so there's so many of these DMVs that will give us system information. And just say when I query that employee name, I can query these views to pull some critical information. All right, so this is our first foray into performance tuning and monitoring. I'm going to dump these notes in Slack for you guys. Definitely keep these steps; they're important. All right, keep these steps. We're going to look at them again and again, but today's class, I'm keeping it short intentionally, so it's not too long for you to sit and watch it again. Please go back and rewatch this class before we meet our next meeting, and make sure you understand the concepts. You will encounter these things in your interviews and in your day-to-day work. All right, please go back, watch this again, rewatch it, let it make sense. If it's not making sense or you are trying to do something that we just did here and you can't do it, please Slack the question, Slack the error message you're getting. Let's look at it, let's fix it. All right, this is one area I know I've said understand everything, but this one you will not get past any interview if you don't have a good understanding of how these things work. So I needed to we're going to do this over and over again. We're going to still do this a few more times, and I'm going to give you a more structured approach to how I needed to investigate performance issues, especially for your interviews. But first of all, I need you to at least understand it so that when I give you the steps to follow, you understand exactly what each step means. Okay, so that in case you go in an interview and then they change up the scenario, it doesn't throw you off. All right, so please go back, rewatch this. This is we didn't start till we lost 30 minutes, so this is less than 2 hours. Sit down, watch it, make sense out of it, ask questions if you run into issues. Well, any questions before we call it an evening? Why do I feel like Kingsley has run away? Kingsley, where are you? Are you here?
I'm still here. I'm still here.
There's an unusual quiet there. You did not even ask one question today.
I'm here. I'm just listening, though. You know.
One single question he asked. I don't think you are focusing today. Let's go back and watch these things. Watch the video again. I know I covered a lot. I know that. So I want you to go back and watch it again. I want to try to convert the file quickly and dump it, or you put it on YouTube ASAP and send to you guys. But please, once I send it,